Oh hey, you ready to install Linux? Cool. I think we'll start with Ubuntu Server. Ubuntu is in the Debian family of Linuxes, very popular server choice, so let's get started.
Canonical is the company that makes Ubuntu. If you go to ubuntu.com, you can get Ubuntu. We're going to go with server. You can probably use desktop or server, but we're going to focus on server since we are building Linux server applications, and so it makes sense to use server. If you went with desktop, you would need to install some additional server components manually, plus desktop would have the desktop GUI layer installed, which you don't need for a server, so it's a lot larger and maybe slower to install. So that's why I'm going with server, the main reason I'm going with server. So go to ubuntu.com, server, download Ubuntu server. There's two different versions available for download. There is the latest version, which in this case is 16.10, and the LTS long-term support version, which is 16.4.1. The difference is the long-term support version has support guaranteed till 2021, April 2021. Whereas the latest version is the latest version. Now, it's not a nightly build or a developer build or something like that. It's still a release, but it doesn't come with the long-term support. So typically, if you are doing something in deployment, deploying in production, you're going to go with the LTS version, unless you know there's something specific you need in this version, which in that case you would go with that version. We're going to go with the LTS version. I'm installing Ubuntu using Parallels on my Mac. If you're using different virtualization software or installing on a dedicated partition of your hard drive, the process may be a little bit differently, but hopefully some of this stuff will still apply. If you're using a virtual machine system like Parallels, you probably have an option here to download and install Ubuntu automatically, as well as other common Linux distributions. My experience has been these are the desktop distributions. We've already downloaded the server LTS version, which is exactly what we want. So I'm just going to say install Windows or other OS from a DVD or image file. Parallels goes out and finds all the image files I've downloaded. Let's go ahead and tell it LTS. And again, it's going to offer me an option to do an Express installation, which in my experience has been desktop. So we won't do Express, and there we go. And so now we're installing. I'll speed up the parts where I'm just waiting for it, and I'll explain some of the selections I'm making. It's going to ask you what kind of hardware, language, and keyboard and such you have. So if you're using a virtual machine, you click inside of it, and it's going to grab all your keyboard now. So let's see, I'm installing in English. I'm installing Ubuntu Server. If you want to leave, at least on Parallels, you press Control and Alt at the same time, and it removes your cursor. So we're installing in English, United States. I'm not going to detect my keyboard layout. I'm going to tell it it's an English US keyboard. And now it's going to detect my hardware. When it asks you for host name, this is going to be the machine's name on the system. You can call it really whatever you want to. I'm going to call it mine Ubuntu LTS. It's only a big deal if you have something else with the same name. Name for the new user, I'm just going to call my user Delphi. And the username is Delphi. And my password is going to be Godzilla. Don't tell anybody. And I'm not going to encrypt my home directory because I'm not using this in production. Time zone, Denver. And we're off to setting things up again. Next thing is to do is the disk drives. I'm going to go ahead and use the entire disk. And you have to say yes, you want to write the changes. If you keep hitting enter, it will keep not writing the changes. And again, write the changes to disk. No proxy for me. I'm going to tell it to automatically install security updates. That's a choice for you. For security updates, I will let you know that landscape is what you use if you are managing multiple installations on a network. Now we're going to select packages. I'm going to select the LAMP, which is going to be install Apache and PHP, and also PostgreSQL database. Password for root, I'm going to use Godzilla again. This is MySQL. Grub is the bootloader that manages what OS gets booted. And if you're only installing just Ubuntu like in a virtual machine, then yeah, you want to install Grub. If you're installing another OS that does not know how to boot into Linux, then you want to use Grub. Otherwise, you can let the other OS manage it. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes, let's install Grub. Installation's finished. Just going to go ahead and reboot everything now. So it's ready to log in. My username is Delphi. Password is Godzilla. So I'm going to point out right there, it says 118 packages can be updated, 76 packages are security updates. So I still have to manually start this. And what I'm going to use is the apt-get utility, and in order to run that I have to run it with the sudo. Sudo lets me run as a super user, so I can just type sudo apt-get, and it's going to ask me for my password just to make sure that I do in fact want to do what I just said to do. Now it's going to save that password for just a few seconds here. So I just ran apt-get without any parameters, and it gives me a list of options here. So we're going to start with update and then upgrade. And then we're going to tell it to do the distribution upgrade, which is going to install all the updates that need to be installed. And then finally, we're going to do a auto remove and auto clean in order to clean things up. So let's start with update. And now we'll do the upgrade. Yes, I want to continue. And last thing is sudo, actually I'll just press up arrow, and then we'll do dist upgrade. So this one's going to take the longest. It's got 306 megabytes of additional disk space can be used. We finished the updating, so I'm going to go ahead and do a sudo apt-get auto remove, which will remove unused packages, and auto clean. We are going to use sudo apt-get later to install some more things, but I'm going to go ahead and do that now and do a reboot just so we can see that it has updated this. These three steps are not required, but I'm just doing them as intermediate steps right now so that we can see that everything has worked successfully to update it. And we see 0 packages can be updated. So we've updated everything successfully. So now I'm going to install some additional packages that I want to use for development purposes. Installs what you use in the utility native package. And my password again since I rebooted. And now we need to install the packages required for the development tools. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the cleanup again. And we're good to go. So now I can shut down by just typing shut down, and then now tells it to shut down immediately. And at this point, I've got my Linux server, Ubuntu server set up and ready to go for development purposes. This step is unique to Parallels, although other virtual machine systems probably have something similar. You'll notice I have a little exclamation mark here. This is telling me I don't have Parallels and tools installed. So if I click on this, it will mount it as an ISO and gives you instructions, which those instructions didn't actually work for me, saying it already has everything mounted. So the steps that you need to do to install Parallels Tools is you use sudo and mount-o exec device CD-ROM as media CD-ROM, and a password. And now I can change into that folder. And I use ls to pull up a directory, and you see I have installed there in the green, the lime green. That means it's executable. You always have to use // to execute something in the current directory because it never looks in the current directory. And we'll run this. Oh, I have to say sudo .install. And we'll install the Parallels Tools. This makes it easier for you to move your mouse into and out of the window, and I believe also gives you some copy-paste commands and other useful things when using Parallels. Like I said, there's a similar system for most other virtual machine frameworks out there, but it is optional if you want to install this or not. There we go, and we reboot. You'll notice now the little exclamation mark is gone, and I can move my cursor, I believe, let's find out here. It still says press Control, free cursor. Until it finishes booting, the Parallels Tools aren't running yet. And, oh, nope, still have to press Control to get my cursor out. But the tools are installed. I'm not sure what else they do for you, but they're installed.